You know what? Fame and Misfortune being released over this weekend, and unfortunately I didn't see it. From what I've seen everybody talk about, from Dr. Wolf and his group of friends and over at BronyCon, and from what people have said online, from Alumnus and everything else, the question I have, and I think anybody would have, is should episodes like Fame and Misfortune be nothing more than shout-outs? Should we have shout-out-like episodes in the series? Should we have them? Should we allow these shout-outs to occur? And I have to say in my honest opinion, that yes, I think we need to have shout-out-like episodes. I really do. Now, I do agree that we shouldn't have them all the time. Like what we've gotten so far over the past couple of seasons is probably the best way of doing it. Season 5 was a shout-out episode in Slice of Life, which was the 100th episode. But it was a shout-out because basically you were shouting out to the fans that you heard them, that you heard what they've had to say, that they wanted more focus on certain characters, they wanted more personality added to certain characters, this and that. They wanted answers to certain things, and here they got it. Here they got it in Slice of Life. Now, some could say Perfect Pair was sort of a Slice of Life-like episode, and it was. And in a sense it was, but it was more along the lines of a flashback Slice of Life, because you were not just involving characters you don't normally see on occasions, all the time I should say, but you were also seeing introduction to basically we're finally getting to know who Applejack's parents were. That's what we were getting there. Fame and Misfortune kind of runs right in between all that. It's a Slice of Life episode, but it's also a shout-out episode. Well, no, it's a Slice of Life. What I'm saying is Fame and Misfortune kind of runs side by side with that. And what I mean by side by side is it's a shout-out episode, just like Slice of Life in a sense, with a episode for the fans and sort of a shout-out and an acknowledgement of, hey, we know you want to see certain characters, so here you go. We'll focus on them. Here's their personalities. Here's the answers to this and that. Fame and Misfortune falls sort of in that same category, but this time, instead of having the main six sort of like in the background themselves until the very end, you have them kind of right in the middle of it, and basically you have all these characters, all these other pony characters that are reading this journal, this friendship journal that they decide, it'd be cool, that the main six decide, hey, yeah, it'd be cool if we publish it. Be cool, let's try it, Basically, you have the main six as a focal point here because you have these other pony characters reading this journal and basically questioning what they're reading, being angry about what they're reading, being confused about what they're reading, etc. And that these pony characters that are coming out and criticizing, being confused and all that, these characters represent the fandom. They represent the fans. In other words, all the characters that would question, like towards the end, they would question Twilight. They would question this. They would question that. You have two characters talking about the friendship journal and not liking what Rarity says in there, making her cry. Pinky getting annoyed by people laughing at her jokes when sometimes, okay, the joke was funny at first, but not anymore. Applejack situation, Rainbow Dashes. Basically, these background ponies, or these ponies that would be sort of like, focused on reacting to the journal, represented the fandom. In other words, it was basically the way M.A. Larson and the staff did it, or wrote it, was these ponies, these extras, these background ponies that would interact with the main six in this episode were basically the way basically representing the Bronies and Pegasisters, the Brony Pegasister community, on how basically us. Basically how we would be if we were to confront the main six. Basically that's what they were doing. It was like let's say, for example, some of the ponies that would confront Twilight and all those other and all the other main six, I should say, about the journal and say certain things, that would be like if Silverquill was to confront Twilight. That would be like if I Love KP a Lot, or Eliora, or Huey Toonmore, or Nostalgia Critic, you name it. If they were able to come face to face with the main six and say these things about, the problems and the questions and stuff that they have, that they want answers to, that's what these background ponies were. When you have that one pony reporter saying, hey, you were a better character or something when you were in Canterlot before you came to Ponyville, a lot of fans that's a question a lot of fans have. That could be someone like Silverquill saying that, or someone like Firebrand saying that, or Lightning Bliss, or Dr. Wolf himself, basically being like, hey, you were a better character in Canterlot than in Ponyville. And then that old grandma pony pointing out that Twilight was a better character before she got her wings. That's another way. That's something like, let's say, Lightning Bliss would say, or Sapphire, or Mad Munchkin, you name it. That's something they would say, if they could, to Twilight, if Twilight was Will. You see, basically that's what these background ponies were, or that got focused on that, whose reactions to what they read in the journal got focused on in the series, in this episode. Basically, they represented the fandom. But in the end, basically, M.A. Larson, by using the two foils that Starlight brought in, basically reminding us that, yeah, it's cool and everything to try to analyze all these different questions and cliffhangers you want answered, but you have to remember that by these two foils that Starlight brought back with her, you have to remember in the end that the core of this show is about friendship, about learning lessons and morals and friendship and helping each other out. It's not about overanalyzing certain things. Like, you have one pony shouting out, asking the question, are Pinky and Applejack related? That's a question everybody wants to know. Heck, I did a video on it. So basically when you have these background ponies asking these questions, doing these reactions, these background ponies represent us, the fans. Okay, they represent us, the fans. Well, these two little foils that get brought in, that are shown earlier on in the episode, and at the end, these two foils represent what the core of the show was originally. And the core of the show was learning lessons in friendship, learning morals that you could lessons and morals in friendship that you could take and use in life yourself. Whether you're a kid, as the show was originally intended for, whether you're an adult that likes the lessons and morals that gets presented, and the storytelling and all that, the mythical, the storytelling, the mythical, history and all that, or you're just someone that likes a good show, no matter what. These two foils at the end basically represented what the show was originally at its core. And for Twilight to say at the end that the mob of ponies can wait and that they should just live in the moment right now with this reminder of what friendship is, that was basically M.A. Larson and the staff saying, don't worry, telling us, the fans, remember, this is a show about friendship, learning morals and friendship. And that you want the answers and you want answers to all your questions and all that, fine, but it has to wait. It has to wait until the moment is right. That it has to wait, and it can wait. That you could put it to the side and not worry about it. So, My thoughts, though, even though I haven't seen the episode, on shout-out episodes like Fame and Misfortune, again, like I said, I think they should be done, but I think they should be done in a way that's not all the time, that every now and then you could throw it out there, like they did with Slice of Life, like they did here. I think that's a good way of doing it. And heck, I believe if they ever end the series, which could be for another, which I believe won't be for another few years, I believe they're going to give us they're going to give us one last shout-out episode before the series ends. I really do. What it could be, I don't know. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm totally for shout-out episodes, but I think they should be spaced out, I should say, spaced out in a way that when they shout things out, it's not just, questions and questions and stuff that we want to know and how we feel about certain things, but it should also be something that we feel about within basically not just within that time frame, because a lot of what was touched upon was in this episode but more along the lines of what could be. Like, okay, if they do this episode, they'll probably have some. It's, for example, if they do an episode where, okay, this, they touch upon something, but then they don't touch upon it afterwards, we're going to want to know answers, right? So they need to be ready for that, and hopefully, if they do another shout-out episode, they'll do just that. But really, that's all I have to say, folks. Let me know what you think down below. Comment if you like. But I'm in total agreement of shout-out episodes, but I think they should be done in a very spaced out way that it allows things to get built upon and questions built upon so we get the answers in the end. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you later.